Hello! Rather than posting a video with more technical tests or reviews, I'd like to talk about working the scene, being on location and making little decisions that make a photo better. I like to go out and challenge myself. I'll pick a location and then pick a lens that seems entirely inappropriate for that environment, and then I'll try to find a way to make it work. In this case, I went to Mount Pleasant Cemetery, armed with a 14mm prime. The photos I get from these little challenges, I don't really do anything with. I mostly just review them, take notes, hopefully learn something that I can use later on. They're just a training exercise for me. So what is working the scene? Well, here is an entirely uninteresting shot. I saw something that looked a little bit interesting, and without thinking, I aimed my body, pointed the camera, and took a shot. And the result is a crappy photo that is unworthy of the hard drive space it takes up. No thought was given to the composition, the narrative, form, light, blah blah blah. It was just aim and click, nothing more. How can I jazz this up a little? That's working the scene, just taking something and jazzing it up. One way is just by going through a little technical checklist in your head. You can tweak the camera settings like your white balance, your contrast, sharpness, saturation, and all that stuff to create a more interesting tone or atmosphere for the shot. Warm it up, cool it down, saturate, desaturate. You can do a lot of this in camera or in post. Another thing you can do is actually put some damn effort into shooting. For example, just check to make sure the horizon is level. With a 14mm lens, the slightest little tilt will give you a really dramatic angle. So, position myself, centered, move around, just get a really sort of geometrical shot going. Now we have an image that took some effort, but it still sucks. Well, I don't think this shot is horrible. It's just bland, and to be honest, it's not worth looking at or thinking about. So, how can I jazz this up further? This is where it gets really, really subjective. You can't just compare it to a chart or a checklist and get a good result. And this is where the creative aspect of photography comes in. So in this case, I asked myself, what was it about this object or this scene that drew my attention in the first place? This might sound a little bit silly, but that tower thing reminded me of those cool laser towers from the original Command & Conquer game. And that sinking feeling you got in your gut whenever you approached that nod base and heard that buzzing sound building up, and you just knew that your expensive tank was toast. Okay, that might sound a bit out there, but that's the feeling I had, and that's what drew my attention in the scene in the first place. So I'm going to go with it. Don't overthink things, just go with your gut feeling, because your gut is usually right. So now I look around and ask myself, what can I do to strengthen that connection? Well, it's late afternoon, the sun is fairly low in the sky, maybe I could move around a bit, line up the sun in this tower just right so the tip of the tower just obstructs the sun, which should make some sunbeams visible, kind of beaming through the clouds. That's always a shortcut for a pretty shot. And while these sunbeams may not be tank-destroying lasers, they still add another element to the shot. Well, this shot isn't going to earn me any awards or be printed or displayed anywhere. I kind of like it, and compared to the original, I think this one has a little something more to it than the first. And that's working the scene. It doesn't always lead to great shots, but it leads to slightly better shots. And it has a far more of an impact than, a lens that is 6% sharper than the one you bought 2 years ago. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, subscribe, vote, share, blah blah blah, you know the drill. It's the same spiel everyone ends their videos with. Pay attention to me, I'm special. Blah.